It's remarkable number.
Untied?
Untied news. That's
Okay.
how we called it. Untied. What do you think?
Well, it looks like you had a slight typo glitch there.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of demonstrate like a light case of dyslexia.
Yeah.
And I checked. I did the kind of copyright on this title, and it came up as a pun on dyslexic people, dyslexics of the world untie.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You must know that very old joke about the dyslexic devil worshipper who sold his soul to Santa.
So, friends and foes, here we are with our British friend, Granniopterix. Oh, I mistyped. Oh, I typed.
What's up?
No, I put your name wrong here. The part of
Oh,
the name
Granny,
that.
crikey, that really
Yeah.
is bad.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Speak about dyslexics, right?
Yes.
All right. Now we're good. It's Granniopterix.
That's much better.
Much better. That's perfect.
Yeah,
That's
definitely
the
much better.
Archaeopteryx is the first
It
feathered
was
animal.
Granniopterix. It sounds like I'm some sort of a silver cup that you get for coming in first somewhere.
Let's not go this is avenue because
Okay.
we were going to talk about rather major things in world history, like an interview of Tucker Carlson and Mike Huckabee, or the address of the President of the United States, State of the Union, etc., etc., etc. And what could have topped this?
Well,
and there is something that have topped this.
I saw the interview of Huckabee and Carlson. I tried to watch the presidential State of the Nation, but it's like 2 hours long and life is too short, especially in my case. So I saw bits of it, but I can't call myself any sort of an expert. I did see that famous bit. Now, you have two people here who can play the audience. Tucker Carlson played Huckabee. There's no doubt about it. Huckabee he was quiet and calm, and he did very well in the circumstances. If I had been anywhere near Tucker Carlson at that point, I would have attacked him with something heavy, I think. He was really nasty, but in a very clever way. Now, Trump played the Democrats. That was masterly. If you don't believe it's your job to protect America, no, if you believe it's your job to protect America, stand up. And of course, all the Republicans stood up, and all the Democrats. I saw one of them sort of like this. He knew he'd been completely flattened by Trump, and it was a masterly piece of work. Wasn't strictly fair because he knew the Democrats couldn't stand up, really. But it did look very bad. The optics were just incredibly advantageous. And so you saw two real masters. And as for Tucker Carlson, do you believe in shooting 14-year-old boys? I mean,
it's a master class in demagogy.
it was a master class in completely unfair argumentation. And I've made a few videos recently where I've been quite upset. Upset's the wrong word. I can see bad things coming. There's an Islamization of the public dialogue that's happening. Muslims are actually changing the way people are arguing, especially in Britain. But I saw that very clearly in the Carlson thing. There's a sort of an attitude. Look, when you're having a debate, the object of the debate is to approach the truth. You may be at point Z to you. You may be at point B, and I may be at point A. And we're at different ends. And then by having the debate, we find common ground or converge. Have you ever watched Egyptian television?
Bits and pieces. Had no real reason to.
There's Egyptian television, Syrian television. I've seen quite a bit of it. When there is what is supposed to be a debate, what's happening is that there are you've got two men, or usually two men, and they are at different points, but they're not trying to reach any sort of a meeting point. They are just trying, that thing where you put one hand on top of the other. That's all they're trying to do, to beat the other guy down. The idea of reaching any sort of a consensus or point of meeting just doesn't seem to occur to them. I've seen occasions where one of them got so infuriated, he took off his shoe.
Yeah.
And another time where somebody overturned the table, there was a moderator in the middle, and there were these two men, and one of them actually picked up the table and he actually hit the moderator with it rather than the other guy. And that was what Tucker Carlson was doing. He wasn't trying to learn anything. He was simply trying to embarrass or beat down Mike Huckabee. And I've noticed this in public discourse in Britain as well. And you get people like Jacob Rees-Mogg. I don't know whether you've heard. He's terribly English. He was a member of Parliament. His idea is to discuss things. That's the old-fashioned way. Everybody calls him old-fashioned. But there are many more who just shout. That's it. That's all they do. They just shout over, or they ask, fallacy questions like, "So you like to shoot 14-year-old boys?"
Yeah,
or,
yeah. When did you stop beating your wife?
that sort of
That's
thing. Yeah.
classics in American debate. But I must say that if you have a conversation like this that we are expecting between the leading public figure like Tucker Carlson, he's a public figure. He's a journalist with a pretty long trail of accomplishments, and we have the ambassador, a pastor, and presidential candidate in one package in the person of Mike Huckabee. Do you expect certain things? There's a lot to learn from Mike Huckabee as a non-Jewish ambassador to Israel, and who's protecting Christians there, who's looking very vigilantly at what's going on there with Muslims and with Jews and all over the area, which is, as we know, very important for the world for whatever reason. Maybe there is a divine factor to it, but nevertheless, and it turns into like mudslinging on Tucker Carlson's and mudslinging at and absolutely childish. It's all was to me. It was so. How should I say it? It's like kids could be vicious. That vicious kids that nag their parents, and they know that the parents cannot do certain things to them, especially publicly. That's what it was to me, like nasty kid, really nasty, not the angel kid kind of thing. But then what happened after all this well-laid plans of ours? Yes, we have this. We have a. You know what it is?
Oh, that's a rattle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a rattle specifically made for Purim.
Oh,
The
yes, it's all
Jewish
decorated
holiday.
up, isn't it? That's right.
I have it because I got to go to synagogue in a couple tomorrow evening, and maybe even Tuesday as well. A friend of mine, a rabbi, is coming on Fridays to my channel in the morning, so he speaks for a few minutes about the coming Shabbat. Sabbath, and so I picked it last year, and this is Purim, and this is the time described in the book of Esther, when there was a Haman, and there was an Esther, and there was her father Mordecai, and there was it was all happening in Persia, believe it or not.
Yeah, no, I know the
And
story, and it
Jews
was
prevailed. Jews,
Xerxes. The name of the king was Xerxes,
Xerxes,
wasn't it?
right? And it all,
About 500 BC.
and I keep marveling at uh, how history repeats what it says in Torah. You can't say it's a coincidence. You can say it's a tale, it's a story. You learn from it, you think about it. But here we are in this point of calendar, almost
Hmm.
exact the same time, almost exact the same event.
Yeah, yes, yes.
That's to me, it's kind of, if you ignore this, what does it tell about you? That's
Well, it is a remarkable coincidence. And of course, I know that it's a time of great jollification in Israel. The kids dress up and everything. I can imagine there's going to be a few very interesting
Oh,
costumes in.
always in this synagogue, and this always people are so enthusiastic. It's everybody's talking about religion in decline, whatever it is, except the Islam, right? But in this synagogue, it's so happy. It's such an happy occasion always on Purim, and people dress up, and the whole family comes in. And what I love it there is there's absolutely no orderly behavior from kids. They run around. Nobody's kind of yelling at them. They
Yeah.
finally they exhaust themselves. The rabbi brings this inflatable castle, which is very popular
Oh, a
entertainment,
bouncy castle.
bouncy castle,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they are busy bouncing off the walls, those kids, while grown-ups sit, and there's a very lavish banquet and musicians invited, and it's a very stylish affair here.
Yeah, we lived in North London and very
Hmm.
close. Well, not very
Yeah.
close to Golders Green, but quite close to Golders Green. And
Hmm.
Purim, it was very interesting. If the weather was
Yes.
good, of course, you'd see everyone out there in Golders Hill Park.
Yeah, so that's the response to Halloween, I guess, for many kids.
Ah,
But
yeah,
but
yeah.
they catch both. They catch both somehow in our neck of woods, in Brooklyn. So they dress up for Halloween. They dress up for Purim if it's their cup of tea. But yeah, this war, did it catch you off guard? What was the talk? And
As a matter of fact, I knew that it seemed I mean I read about it before that the Israelis tended to when they attacked Iran the last time, the 12-day war. They were doing it only at night because they knew that the Iranians didn't have marvelous night vision
Mhm,
equipment,
mhm,
and the Syrians didn't have any at all at the time. So, I was up, I think Friday night, Saturday morning. I happened to wake up about 2 o'clock, and I thought, I wonder if they've done something.
mhm,
And I went online, and there was nothing at all. And I was calculating. Israel is what, 2 hours ahead of Britain. So it was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Getting close to dawn, I waited till 3, which would have made it 5 o'clock in Israel and 7 o'clock in Iran, full daylight. I thought, well, nothing's going to happen now. And I went back to sleep. I went back to sleep until about 8:30.
mhm.
And I got up, my husband was up. The first thing he told me was that Israel has attacked Iran. It was quite a surprise because they did that during the day, which was very risky because the Iranians were, crippled, but not completely disabled. Taking planes out there during the daytime was not a marvelous thing. I believe that the first thing they went for were the batteries.
Hmm. Yeah, the air defense, of course, and the means to attack Israel were on there was a lot of over 1,000 altogether missiles that landed in Iran, and it's as you mentioned, the first operation when the 12 day war happened, as they call it now. and then the American strike on the Fordo and Natanz, what was that, right? The underground facilities, and they said first there was complete obliteration, and this is the point that the White House makes until
That was a bit of a con, Yuri. You know that, don't you?
explain it to me.
Well, because if you look at the videos, you'll see the satellite pictures. There were these convoys of trucks moving away from places like Natanz and the other place.
Fordo, yeah.
Yeah, and there were these before the Americans had turned up. So although they had damaged the facilities and probably rendered them inconvenient to use, if not completely unusable, the materiel was long gone. They'd kept the seed. Do you know anything about sourdough baking?
Sourdough, okay, yes.
Okay, so
Mental
you've got
picture,
this
yeah,
jar,
created.
and you've got the sourdough in there, and you keep it in the fridge, and then you bring it out and you feed it, and you leave it a day, and then you can start to bake bread with it. Yeah. Well, that's what they did. They got the sourdough, they removed it from the fridge, and they were feeding it somewhere else. And I think that's why my personal opinion, completely uneducated, I'm just looking at things from here. I have no contact. I have the feeling that Trump was trying to reach some sort of an equilibrium with them. And he was saying, look, you can keep on doing your research. I'm going to make it more difficult for you, but I'm not going to make it impossible. Just stay quiet. Don't rock the boat.
To quote him, quiet. Right? He said on some occasions, yeah.
I just have this feeling that he thought maybe he could.
Yeah.
You cannot make a. All right, let's start again. When I studied Islam and early Islamic history, as a matter of fact, what I realized later on was that Persia was completely out of everything I learnt. I learnt all about Arabia and Egypt and the Levant and all the rest of it. They didn't mention Iran. Now, that was because probably at the time, Iran wasn't really part of the Muslim world. It was its own little island. And of course, it didn't adopt Arabic either. It never did. So it's always been slightly to one side. So the Iranians themselves are different. And a lot of people don't realize that they are not Arabs and they don't act like Arabs. But those mullahs, they did. They had absorbed a sort of Islamic fanaticism. And the problem was that because the general culture was not so Muslim as, for instance, it would be in Egypt or Saudi, Western negotiators didn't realize that they were talking to somebody with whom they had absolutely no common ground at all. As I think Golda Meir said once, you can't negotiate with anyone who's come to kill you.
Yeah.
And these guys, the people trying to negotiate with Iran, right from Obama forward, they just didn't realize that these guys really were serious. You can't negotiate with somebody who will die, who is prepared to kill you and die at the same time.
I don't know about dying. I think they would avoid it by any means available to them. But the whole thing of negotiations during Obama years, from our standpoint, I mean, mine and people I know and people I read, it was a total sham. It was absolute support
Yeah,
of the
it was
regime.
ridiculous.
Even now, before this program, and yesterday I mentioned this, and I think it's one of the best unused movie plots, when during the night airplanes collected cash from all
Yeah,
over the world, $1.7 billion, one
they were
billion
going in
seven
on
hundred,
pallets.
going there on some uh, pretense that we owe them the money that were put by Shah into the banks. They wanted to
Yeah,
buy some weapons from us, and then we had the accrued interest that amounted altogether from nothing to, not exactly nothing, but like incredible amount of money from 1979 up
yeah, yeah,
until
yeah.
Obama's presidency, whatever year that was. So the guy was in charge, by the way, the guy who was in charge of this operation, Brett McGurk, was also in charge of the Middle East during Biden years. He was like special envoy or something, so we know that special envoy is always something special, not all just plain envoying in his job description. So, and imagine this, imagine the accompaniment of various planes of different kind of capacities that needed to protect all those planes. It's a significant number of physical weight, in cash. And the explanation was from the White House that we don't have official relations with Iran, and we cannot send it electronically. We cannot Zelle this money. We cannot PayPal this money. We need to bring them the cash. And excuse me, IRS doesn't take those explanations in the United
Yeah,
States.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that our Internal Revenue Service will turn you inside out if you say that you had this amount of cash in the White House and in your house,
Yeah.
and that's ridiculous. We had this Fannie Willis, the Attorney General for the Attorney General is called District Attorney, right?
I could not understand what could have been going through Obama's mind. And it seemed mad to me then.
There is a line that was not explored in as far as I know. Maybe someone can help me with information in this regard. But he has a very close friend of the family. It's not exactly his family of three, but there is a woman called Valerie Jarrett.
I know.
Yeah,
Yes, she was the one that Rose Thingy, the comedian, got into trouble because she 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 thought she was Iranian
she's
and
a.
insulted her people, and she turned out to be. Do you know? I don't remember, but she said something about this woman which was taken to be a racial slur, and it wasn't.
No, I can
Do you
tell
remember
you,
that?
she's a very white black woman, white skinned black
That's
woman.
what, and she thought she was Iranian, and she said something. I think it was about monkeys.
Monkeys are kind of compared to what happened on Friday is nothing today. Monkeys are gone from our
Well,
political
anyway, that was
conversation.
it. She didn't know she was black.
Yeah, yeah.
She thought she was Iranian and said something about her as an Iranian, and then it turned out that she wasn't. And that's what I know about Jarrett.
But there's a connection. She grew up in Iran. Her
She did,
father
yeah. Her
was a
parents were.
professor, yeah,
Her father was a
or
doctor or something, wasn't he? At a
yeah,
yeah,
you can
yeah.
call him maybe a spy, even, considering
No, yeah.
her following the political career, etc., etc. But
Mm-hmm.
she grew up there, and this memories, they don't go away. The kid childhood memories, as we know, they're with us, and sometimes they pop up. So one of the memories popped up, and she was a big proponent for the for Iran in its not Zoroastrian times or Manichaean times or whatever. It's a rich country. It was my dream to visit Iran, Iraq, Syria.
Yeah,
I love this area. I love this, what is considered, it's not a quirk, it's this thing that overlooked in the textbooks on history
yeah,
most of the time, the expansion of the ways of the way of life of the Greeks and the Romans, etc., so the Jews too. Yeah, but she was the, and I think the connection was there that Obama is a socialist, right? Socialist equals
Yeah.
communist,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
of the things that is in their anthem is that we have to destroy everything that was before us. We have to raise everything that was to the ground, and then we built our own world on mm, based on nothing.
Yeah.
Nihilism is also a big part of this
Yeah.
major tenet of this whole thing. But of course, it's again, and I'm sorry, I'm going down the rabbit hole, but this is what socialism, communism is. It's the projection. They cannot exist. They cannot sustain themselves. They need to go to the store. They need to go to coffee shop or pub to discuss whatever matters are on their mind. And they're not going to build this. Someone else has to build it. So
Yeah.
they cannot. They're parasites. They have to parasite on a healthy log or a healthy tree or a healthy palm, whatever, depending on geography. So that's where they connected the socialist idea and the idea that we need to, they have this number. I
So
forgot the
what
number
you're
in
saying,
them.
you say that Jarrett or whatever her name was
Yeah, Jared.
influenced Obama into making nice to the Iranians.
Yeah, she filled him in on this, informed him on what's going on there, and Obama knew to some extent because he's not very erudite person, but he can manage a few bits of information when he needs it. So there was the very hostile towards America actions in 1979. Of course, we all hate monarchies. Forgive me. In the world today, yeah, we hate the monarchies. So monarchies got to go. And we spoke for 2 hours about how good monarchy is actually last night in Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah, some aspects of it are very interesting in terms of if you look at the history with your eyes open. Very few good monarchs, but if they're good, they're good. So, as far as we can see it from here, again, all those asterisks are killing me. But nevertheless, they a lot of good things, a lot of things that put Obama in the mood to be pro Ayatollah because they don't like
It
America.
was a terrible, terrible thing he did. Just incredibly bad in every way.
And what makes it even better is that they're very smart people. There's an ancient history that rubs off on those who have ancient history. We find it inside us sometimes. And people who ignore history, they ignore this part of the past that is their being, their own self. That's because it lives inside of you, each one of us. And so they use this money. It goes very long way. Like you look at Soros, for example, who does not ignore, the smarts of previous generations of people who did same things before him, and he's using not a very big amount of money to reach great results.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why Elon Musk called him. He's a good at arbitration. So judging what to do and what not to do, and what to do now and what to do tomorrow, and that's all. And they use this money to they can make like 100 times more missiles than the US can for the same amount of money because they look at Russia's you doing the same thing. There's a lot of similarities between Russia and Iran. Both countries hate America. Both countries have great resources that they are unable to use. Both countries had every opportunity to become a member of the international family of prosperous nations. Every chance. Keep your Islam. Don't make it political. Keep it inside. Follow it. Enjoy it. Don't impose it on other nations. Keep your
But the
socialism,
fact is
whatever.
that a lot of Iranians weren't Muslims anyway.
They went Muslims by if you read about the way the Northern Africa was conquered by hordes of nomads from from Arabia in 8th century, right?
The 7th century.
7th century. It was the beginning, and there was in 100 years they were already in Al Andalus was already
Yeah.
afoot.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? did people like their ideas? If you look at the way in which and speed at which the wildfire of transgenderism exploded in the Western societies, very fast people got used to this idea. I think there was the same thing. They liked something they didn't try, and they submitted to it, and then they realized that it was not what was not as advertised, so to speak. But it was too late in case of Islam, so they were taken. But you cannot avoid the traces of the Western culture that fill. I mean, the Northern Africa is filled with Greek and Roman and even older um, examples of art and architecture. It's all there. That's why I wanted to go to Syria, for example. When I learned about the forgotten cities or dead cities, it's the like 40-kilometer long strip in Syria where they have some long time ago it was a prosperous part where people lived, the Greeks and other peoples of the Mediterranean who were producing olive oil, which was like, I don't know, Tesla's, right, or whatever for today, something very desirable.
Yeah, it was a very
desire today.
important
Yeah.
commodity. Yes.
Yeah, so they knew how to do it, and they were sitting there on the as gatekeepers for the east. So they were defending the empire there, and they became very rich. And now it became a quarry in the last number of years for the neighborhood. So people go if they need a good piece of marble, they go there and they take it out and deliver it to the village, which is the world, the history of the world, basically.
I just have to tell you, my dog just came, so you'll see me.
Can we see the dog? Because that's
I don't think so. The
All
camera's
right.
not in the right position.
See.
Anyway, he's got his nose on my lap and he's demanding an ear scratch. So that's what I'm doing here. That's
all right.
Yeah, there's a whole Roman town in it's not Libya, but it's over towards the Maghreb there. There's an entire town just deserted. I don't know why it got deserted, but it's. Do you know which one I'm talking about? I've forgotten the name.
No, I haven't. I had plans, but I only had one night in Casablanca in this area. It was
a night in Casablanca.
The stopover. Yeah, it was during Ramadan about 2 years ago. We were on our way back home from Jordan, and by the way, Jordan is filled with Roman and Greek Roman artifacts, and there's a road that was built like most.
Timgad.
No, I haven't.
The name is Timgad.
Wow.
And it's a. They've got a forum, theatre, public baths, and a library. Wow. I mean, you just look it up on your computer. The pictures from there are just astonishing. And it's very, the thing that saddens me most is it's a beautiful Roman town, and because of the dry conditions, in pretty good nick, a bit like Herculaneum after Herculaneum had been, excavated. But because nobody wants to go there, because it's so, communications are so bad, and there's a lot of violence and primitivity in there. You just don't get to see it.
In which country is it?
Now, Timgad, Algeria.
Algeria, yeah. Yeah, we went to Jordan a couple of years ago, and it was amazing what remained there from the ancient, call them colonizers, call them whatever, travel they built like for the ages, indeed, like in full meaning of this word, this phrase. And there's a Gerasa, now it's called Jerash, and a number of other places that were very impressive, and they remained like.
Yes.
Healthy 30% of it is in place, and
they've got such a richness there that they could capitalize on very easily if they.
Oh, they
got their
try. Of
act
course,
together.
Petra is a very mysterious place,
Yes.
also in Jordan, and it's just shows. I mean, same thing with our trip to India. You look at the people who live there now, and you cannot imagine that they did what you see. They do not make anything remotely, similar to that level of architecture, of skill, of knowledge, of style. It's a country built in the image of how they imagine themselves, I guess. But it's not what the ancients did there, and this was supposedly the same people who lived there, of course. So that's where we come back to what? Where we come back to let's talk about the Britain, Great Britain, which has been in the news. Yeah, no,
Oh,
no, 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 no. That's not our way to live.
we have, we have. Did you ever see that show, Max Headroom?
No.
It was in the 80s, and it was a satirical show. It was meant to be some sort of an artificial entity, not a robot. It was like a sort of moving avatar. And he would give, oh, you'll have to look up some of
Is it
the,
British?
no, no, this was an American show. At
Oh,
least I think it was an
what's
American.
the name again?
Max Headroom.
Max Headroom.
Yeah, yeah, that's a joke on the Max Headroom signs you get in parking garages and
Uh
things.
huh.
But it was sort of like this: Max Headroom saying hi to all you sentient life forms out there, and if you're not sentient, just keep on banging those rocks together. An absolutely wonderful show, marvelous. Well, if you look at pictures of Max Headroom, the first time I saw Keir Starmer,
Hmm.
I looked at him and I thought, blimey, Max Headroom's let himself go a bit. But okay, he had this startling resemblance to Max Headroom, but he's like Max Headroom without the fun. He's got this robotic didactic way of dealing with the world. I've been told that in real life he's a very likable man. I can't see how, but the minute he gets into his public persona, he turns into a robot.
It's
Right. So, what do you want? What else do you want me to? Actually, going on a bit of a riff, he's supposed to be very pally with the Chinese. In fact, a lot of people think he's a Manchurian candidate round here, but
Mhm.
he's very pally with the Chinese, and the Chinese are quite good at building robots, aren't they?
Yeah, they
I
are.
rest my case.
That's true, but still, we would like to see Great Britain. Let me ask you this:
Go on.
who cares what we would like to see? But I have a friend, and we parted ways a little bit. He speaks Russian. He lives in London. I think I mentioned him to you before. But his English speaks Russian. Speaks very good English, and he's we parted ways because he's against Trump very much, like unreasonably to this
There are
TDS.
a lot round here like that.
Yeah, TDS, very educated, very well versed in history. He is a Jew who became a Christian, a Catholic, so he knows things like from mostly from Catholic experience perspective. But I asked him, why don't you join what is kind of associated with Tommy Robinson? Because I don't see any other kind of pushback against what you don't like. So you gotta, if you cannot beat them, so to speak, you join some of the sides that are against of the most things you dislike. I understand that Tommy Robinson is accused of being, having a very checkered biography, as they say charitably, but still,
Yeah.
you look at those things and you understand that this is a very kind of very much active in terms of protecting Great Britain in general, British way of life, if such thing is. It exists in private houses. It exists in uh, gatherings of people, and it stopped existing on the pages of the newspapers because everything is international and everything is understanding and nice. And meantime, we have the beheadings, we have the child systemic molestation of children, etc., etc. So on this point, we parted ways because he went into full like MAGA derangement thing. And by the way, first time, one of these days, I met somebody, and she saw my picture on the on the phone, and she says, "Oh, nice cap! I see you have a NASA on your cap, saying NASA." So dyslexia
So
mercy
yeah,
gone.
he didn't. This happened to my husband. Well, something like this happened to my husband. He went to the post office. He has a MAGA hat as well, and he
Uh-huh.
was wearing it. This, of course, is before it started raining here. Like about 10 months ago or whatever. Anyway, so he was there and he was just outside, and they both had dogs outside the post office.
Hmm.
So, of course, the dogs were making friends, and
Hmm.
my husband was chatting with this woman, and she saw that hat and she said, "Oh, MAGA, is that in support of Trump?" And my husband said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, I have nothing more to say to you." And she just walked off.
Yeah, and we went to Spain in November last year with our daughter, and I take my hat with me. Not this one. I have a bunch of those, as you can imagine, including
Goodness me, you have a
this one.
collection.
Oh yeah, of course. I have friends. They watch over my fashion choices.
Good grief.
So I have this. I cannot reach that far. That where I have like also this Trump 2028 and Trump 2032 coming soon. So
Uh,
yeah,
I have shoes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
You have MAGA hats.
yeah. So yeah, we were in Spain, and I said, "Listen, the weather is calling for me to put my cap on." And so she said, "Don't do it." I said, "Why?" She says, people is going to stop us. Sometimes I really don't. She's my daughter, so we have similar way of thinking. If I want to move fast, I don't want extra discussions this way or the other. Along my route, so I wear it in the situations where I just not in a rush, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, and I said, I'll put it on, and you will see the reaction, because we tested in various places, and in France, it was like, oh my god, like in the middle of nowhere, see a man carrying the like. Something on his back, and he stops, drops everything. Oh my god, I cannot speak in French at all, but he recognized it from
Hmm.
television, I guess. And we go to the market, and there is a woman who speaks Spanish. I don't speak Spanish either, barely speak English, but she says, "Can I take a picture of your cap?" I understand she's pointing the phone in
Hmm.
one hand, and she's selling jamon. I said, "Why not the whole thing then? Photograph me, photograph cap,
Yeah.
whatever you want." So we took a picture together, and she said, "We need someone like Trump here." It was in Murcia.
Yeah. Spain is in a bit of trouble at the moment.
Yeah, but there are people who are kind of similar thinking, and I
Yeah.
met them in
Yeah.
Copenhagen. I met them all over France. I met them in Spain. I met them, after my political kind of MAGA thing being part of my life and part of the world
Hmm.
life. A lot of people sympathize. A lot of people understand what it is about, and they want kind of the same, like in the.
The problem, Yura, is that people who feel that way about Trump, I mean, not generally, there are things I don't like about Trump and the things I do like. But many people just don't dare say anything because the people who are against Trump tend to get rather violent.
Yeah, and we cannot do that. We cannot respond in kind. I understand.
No,
What's
and
stopping us?
that's you see. So I think it's sort of encapsulated in a terribly British way in what happened to my husband. The woman didn't attack him, but she was certainly so unpleasant that it stuck with him. You know, she psychologically hit him.
Yeah, but
And she didn't give him any chance to discuss. That's the point. And it's the same thing as punching somebody. You say something nasty and then you walk off. So there's no comeback. Because there is no comeback, actually. And they know it, so they just don't. But they resort to underhand tactics. We're back to Tucker Carlson, I suppose.
yeah, in a way we are, and it's this rhetoric that is suicidal for the West. I think.
No, it's very bad. That's why I say I'm talking about the Islamization of my country. It's not starting with everybody, making the Shahida. It's starting with people losing their ability to discuss things properly in a civilized way,
and
because that doesn't exist in Islam.
and politically is being pushed out of Congress from on the Democrat side. I mean, I'm trying to be critical to both sides. Of course, I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. I'm not happy with the Republican Party. Besides the president elected by Republicans, and a lot of Republicans are unhappy about the way it goes politically on the ground where they live. The Republican Party is mostly invisible. It's purely what's the word? Not scholastic, but stochastic.
Stochastic.
Stochastic, yes. So yeah, stochastic is this. It's popular. It's people live like this. They want to live like this, but it's something that the party leaders, political leaders, not the factual leaders, they don't understand. They need to offer people something. I went to some disputes that were in the heart of Democrats, New York. It's Washington Square Park, the place where they had this attack on the cops recently was snowballs and pieces of
Oh,
ice.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes. I remember seeing that.
that place. And there was a guy. Oh, all of a sudden I forgot his name, but he's a young guy who was kind of arrested, and he was treated very badly because he was just next to the Capitol building on the January 6th. But he's a relatively famous guy, and he's gay. And he was representing the people of disorientation in order to get them into looking at what Donald Trump's program is and to joining the patriots, the ranks of patriots. Let's call it this way. So he had in the wake of the murder of Charlie Kirk, he decided to do the same thing in the Washington Square Park, and it was, of course, it didn't go well. There was no fisticuffs, no anything. It was well equipped, well funded, and instead of one Charlie Kirk, there was like 4 or 5 people trying to do the same thing, answering competently on the questions from the audience, and the audience was drunk and high, and uh, everything that people do in Washington Square Park was happening there. But there was one man, older man of Italian background, persuasion, whatever ancestry, and he came up and he said, uh, You're doing everything wrong," to this guy. I said, "What would I do wrong? You gotta." They were all candidates against Mamdani.
Hmm.
They were there for candidates for mayor. There was one Spanish man, a millionaire, multi-millionaire, or billionaire, maybe even, who got 1%. You cannot buy, somehow you cannot buy this position. And he said, "You have to be Trumpian." and they immediately started protesting. They said, "No, no, no, we're not like Trump. We don't want Trump. We are like." They were afraid that people will turn away. And I read their messages online, and they are pro-Trump. But publicly in New York, they think it's a good strategy to say that we don't like Trump. We don't want it to be to Trump's liking. We don't give him an inch of our territory. We just want to do this and this and this. And they think it's a strategy. And I think that nobody sees that as they do it, and it was very obvious. And he pointed at it. He said, "I don't. You cannot be like Trump. You cannot be like him physically, psychologically. So, but you have to act like him. You have to recognize the." Uh, the more I think about the archetypical way of looking at things, and just going straight to the point of the conversation, and more importantly, what ancients did much better than we do it. Not that we don't think about it, but they thought very well about what's next. I failed.
Do you know,
What's next?
do you, I think it was the last video I made. I actually said the problem with, I don't know whether it's a socialist brain that thinks like that, or you become a socialist because you have a brain. They are unable to project. So it's all emotions. They can see what's happening in the next step. That's their emotions. But what will happen if they carry on in whatever direction it is? They don't seem to be able to see that far ahead. It's a very, and I think there should be more debating societies in schools.
Yeah.
I think rhetoric, which is what the Romans taught their schoolboys, rhetoric is something that maybe they should bring back, because a lot of people just can't handle it now.
Yeah, the more people will do it, the more accustomed they will become, just attracted by the form. And like you go for the form, and you become like with aerobics, with have to invoke Jane Fonda. You go for the form, and you end up with a healthy kind of body. That's it. You do something out of fashion, and something that is fashionable, and then you get the benefits of doing it,
Yeah.
which are not
Yeah,
that.
but you're absolutely right. People don't seem to think things through anymore.
One of the things with Marxism and socialism and communism, which is same thing, let's be honest about it, is that it's basically a predetermined course of history. We know that I mean, I have this education in USSR. So we start with prehistoric society, then we have the feudal society, and then we
Yeah,
have capitalist society, and
yeah.
then we have socialist society. Everything is explained by Marx. Everything will go like he says. And then we
Hmm.
live communism, and communism, that's what's after communism was almost like heresy in to talk about, because nothing comes after communism. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
The end of history.
The end of history, which happened,
Yeah.
by the way, in a totally different way. So it's a bankrupt theory. We don't know what happens. If we want to know what's going to happen, we should look to the holy books that describe pretty much like the Purim War, just demonstrated circularity of historical events. There's certain number of things that may happen to us, may not happen, may happen now, may happen later, but they will happen. But it's not the predetermination, as per Marx.
I was, particularly when I was a teenager, I read a lot of stuff about communism, and one of the things was said with absolute certainty. Wars will stop, because when people don't have personal belongings anymore, and countries don't have personal ideas, then there'll be nothing to fight over. And it was absolutely, just a given. Yeah. And I thought, hang on a minute, even as a teenager, you can't be that sure about anything to do with human beings. And then I realized what was missing. They just hadn't reckoned on human nature. That's
Yeah.
yeah,
I can tell you, when I was a teenager, we were a well-off family, as I understand right now. Certain toys were not available to me, but basically, all the kids were wearing similar things to school. There was no school uniform, and everybody was equal until somebody comes in wearing jeans. And where did you get the jeans? Nobody ever saw what it was. It was like you have to, if you wanted to wear jeans at some point in my biography, you have to go to a tailor, and they will make you something that looks like jeans. They will use
yeah, really.
blue
Denim.
denim or whatever, wool, whatever material would look like jeans,
Hmm.
uh, and uh, and yellow
Stitching.
stitching. All right,
Yeah.
so that was your jeans. That's it. And then you realize that those jeans, they cost like a monthly salary
Hmm.
on the average, like 70 rubles, 100 rubles a month was this kind of most average salary. So, and you wear jeans like this. I had my first jeans stolen when I was having a swim class, and I spent
Oh,
like 3 4 hours in a school locker room waiting for someone to
how
bring me.
terrible. How did you get home?
They brought me pants. They brought me some pants, and then I got the second pair because this one, the one I had, was traded for. You know what samovar is?
A
The
samovar, yes, of course.
samovar, yeah. So a samovar was something that a friend of mine, my dad, they came to Tashkent where we lived, which is like where Afghanistan is, Uzbekistan, etc.
Yeah.
So they came and they said, "Oh, we see a lot of samovars, and in your shops, we don't have any in Ukraine, as this eastern western Ukraine by
Hmm.
Hungarian border." And they said, my dad asked him, "What are you going to do with the samovar? Why is it so popular there?" And they said, "We take them to Hungary, and one samovar equals one pair of jeans."
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this operation was, so my dad bought them a samovar, and they sent the pair of jeans. And then the second pair of jeans that a friend of mine, my dad learned from in Moscow, that there was this incident. It was me sitting pantless for hours. He got me another pair of jeans from he traveled often to the States or whatever, to Europe. So he got me another pair of jeans. So that was my adventure with American way of life, trying to pursue it. But all I'm saying that people are looking around, and
Yeah.
when they see something that they think is desirable for them, they go for it.
Yes, yes, yeah. That's actually um a very interesting story because of course in America jeans, workman's clothing basically, and yeah, in Eastern Europe something really precious.
Yeah, and they go for pretty expensive pairs of jeans, and they advertise it. We had someone who came from Russia a few years ago. She came, and we asked her, "What do you like to bring back home as a souvenir for your kids, etc.?" And she said, "My kids told me to buy them jeans." I said, "You don't have jeans in Russia?" "No, we don't have good ones."
Yeah.
What do you call good ones?" And she says, "My kids told me," that she had a boy and a girl, that I shouldn't buy anything that is cheaper than $600. I said, "Excuse me."
I would never ever buy a pair of jeans that cost over $600. I think £20 is enough.
There are some jeans in this price, and that's what they advertise in Russia. Of course, everything used to be inflated when Russia was fat on oil revenues and gas revenues, etc.,
Yeah,
and no war, no war. That
yeah.
that's another thing, that the desired finale of this war. What do you think? What's the thing in Great
Which
Britain?
war? Which one now?
Ukraine, Russia, and Ukraine.
That breaks my heart. That breaks my heart.
No, we
I
raise
bet
money.
what's going to happen, but we've got to wait and see. Because you see, I thought Russia was certainly going to get a chunk of Ukrainian land, but they don't have the drones anymore. They don't have all that stuff coming from Iran. And suddenly, like Putin's really had the carpet pulled out from under his feet. And it may be that he might find himself in a weaker position now. This might be the salvation
Yeah,
of Ukraine.
I hope so. I strongly hope so. And I have a friend who's now in Kiev, and yesterday I got him. She's a veteran of U.S. Navy, a captain first class, and he reported from there and the response to the events and the attack on Iran. It was very interesting to hear his perspective, and he says that Ukraine put itself in a very bad position in terms of considering the next president after Joe Biden, and they went full blast anti-Trump in the media, and a lot of people were brainwashed, and a lot of people. I mean, the people from Ukraine come here, and my program, which is like MAGA from almost the very beginning, definitely from the special military operation, as they call it in Russia, right? This war, full-blown war. In other words, we raised between this and some other channel, we raised almost $500,000. Considering not too many people, there's no million viewers, no, not even like 500,000 viewers. But
that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It all went to Ukraine, and no one made anything. I did not charge. I didn't get anything didn't ask for anything. Just 100% in, 100% out. So we started buying. Like first week, we bought some goggles, the
night goggles.
Night goggles. Yeah,
yeah.
It was again not top notch, but what worked. You know, there was the first. There were people who were standing there with hunting rifles from the basement. That was. I thought it would work in terms of immediate effect. So we did what we do, and support is huge in the States. But there's also an attack to first of all to denigrate Ukraine, and of course they are not. They are. I mean, they have a strong syndrome of Soviet past that they have, considering the wealth that was lavished on them by American administration via USAID organization that paid for other international groups who kind of gave them a taste of prosperity. But a lot of corruption came out of it, of course, and there's no denying almost all the bad things that are said about political leadership there. But they are now in a very unique position, and I think that unique position in terms of there was some guests compared, or I did compare Donald Trump and Vladimir Zelensky, which is a no-no in the United States and everywhere in the world. Whatever positions people take politically, you cannot compare, they're not allowed. But I said they both were presented with unique challenges, and they're both very persistent fighters.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them.
Well, what the reason that the Ukrainians are fighting so ferociously and determinedly, when other countries would have just folded by this time, is because they know they'll be obliterated if the Russians get control of them. That's the thing. They have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
That's why the Israelis are fighting the way they fight. They have nowhere to go either. When you back something into a corner, whatever it is, it's going to fight like the Dickens.
You don't complain later, yeah.
And Ukraine will not give in because it can't give in.
Yeah, and the same thing about Donald Trump, by the way. Judging by the Biden years and the way he was persecuted across the board, and by the way, nothing of the Epstein files were publicized at the time because they had free hand in publicizing whatever, and the files were all where they are now. Basically, there was no additional. They keep finding it's like the whole universe that. I see it right now. There's no end to it. But Donald Trump and his allies, and I'm not allowed to speak about regular. My wife doesn't let me talk about the regular conservatives because she gets terrified. American conservatives, what can happen to us, who are just talking, being for Trump, more or less conspicuously. But he has no future if someone like Kamala Harris after him comes takes the office, or Ilhan Omar takes the office. It's gonna be, they won't be stopped. Like today, we're discussing: should Bill Clinton be arrested? Should other people who finagled with the election results be arrested? Uh, they won't discuss it. There's no doubt in their mind that we are bad people. They look at how this January 6th investigation went, all this discussion, this committee went. It's people thrown in jail, literally.
Yeah.
Was no one was accused of rioting. No, everybody was like trespassing. It's like nothing, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere. Just don't do it again or pay the fine, etc. But they were spent like a year and a half in jail.
Yeah, it happened here, of course, in another way, in another situation, but it was very similar. What Biden did to ordinary people in America is what is what Starmer did to ordinary people here in Britain.
What was your reaction to that? Did it change the way you
What
express yourself?
are you talking about? How Starmer reacted to the
Yeah, it's
Southport riot?
12,000 people
When
suffered
I
in one way or
saw,
another.
I don't know how many times I've said this. He'd been in office for maybe a month, and he saw, and then there were these riots over the murder of 3 little girls by the story got around. It was by an illegal migrant.
Mhm.
Actually, it turned out to be worse than that, but we won't go into it. He stood up there and said, more or less, you're all guilty, you're all terrible people, I'm going to track you down and you're going to jail. He's a lawyer. The principle in Britain is you're not guilty until a jury says so.
Yeah.
He condemned all these people straight away, and he came down like I was going to say like a heavy-handed headmaster, but really like a dictator. And when I saw that, I have not forgiven him, for I didn't forgive him then. I thought it was disgraceful behavior. These people were reacting reasonably to a horrible incident. And instead of any sort of sympathy or compromise, it was, you do what I say, or you will suffer the consequences. It was that sort of a reaction. And I thought he was a bastard then, and I still think, and I mean, that's all I see whenever I see him.
Yeah.
So what? He's a dictator. He'd love to be a dictator, and he's doing his best to modify laws and rules and things so that he can act like a dictator. Unfortunately, there's a lot of British constitutional stuff getting in the way. So, but you can see he's fighting it the whole way. He's a really nasty piece of work.
Yeah. That comes through even across the ocean. We can sense it. Listen, Demi, if you I may call you so. I call you Demi, right? In
Yeah, you can. You can.
correspondence. I wanted to talk a little bit in the closing about what are we doing here online. Generally, people like us, we come, we share our thoughts. Some people listen, some people don't, and some people like it, etc. What's your understanding of how we are doing? What are we doing, etc.?
Now,
Connection to the person.
there are 2 things
Yeah.
I'm doing. Can't speak for you.
Yeah.
And the first is I have to be realistic. You get old people sitting there on the sofa shouting at the television because these politicians are talking total twaddle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically, a lot of my videos, it's just an old person shouting at the television. However,
Yeah.
however, just because an old person shouts at the television doesn't mean they're not making sense. And there are other people who feel the same way, but they don't know that anyone else feels the same way. And there's a sociological name for it. When you think what the group thinks, it validates what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, you know that the Ash test, of course. You know the Ash test.
No.
Okay, so this professor, they chose a fall guy, sent him out. And then the professor said, all right, look, there are 3 lines here on the blackboard. They are exactly the same. I want you to say that the middle one is taller.
Mm-hmm.
They bring in the other guy, and then they all have to look at these lines
Mm-hmm.
and are they the same? And this other guy says, yeah, they're the same. And then everyone goes, no, but the middle one's taller. Very few of the fall guys actually didn't cave.
Yeah.
And they saw that it was fractionally taller.
How long
And
ago was this test?
I suppose it would have been, it was probably, I'm just guessing now, the late 60s or the early 70s.
Mm-hmm. So I interrupted you. What happened then? Is that the one of them something was really taller or what?
No, they
No.
were all the same size. But when everybody said that the middle one was taller or the left one was taller or whatever it was, the innocent finally started to see. Now, some didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some didn't,
Very few.
but very few. And so the point when I vent to the internet, there will be other people who will listen to me and they'll say, yeah, I thought of that, and everyone told me I was being stupid, that the middle one was taller. But she's saying it's the same size. So yeah, I understand it's the same size. That's what I saw, and so I know somebody else thinks that way, so I can stick to it. So I have my point of view. I'm not saying my point of view is the right point of view. I'm saying that's a point of view that's part of this vast checkerboard of human things. And there will be other people who will hear that and think, oh, all right, well, there are other people who think this way, my way, and that's it. So what am I doing? I'm putting out my thoughts in a way that was impossible 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's good. And I am throwing thoughts out that other people, and oh gosh, have I learned such a lot from people's comments underneath my videos.
Yeah.
So I think it's got its use. I mean, I don't have a huge channel, so less use than something like Konstantin Kissin, but still,
Yeah.
has its use. And that's what I think I'm doing. That's what drives me up here to this studio every day, nearly every
Yeah,
day.
I used to watch more of their duo. I love the duo, the trigonometry,
Hmm.
and they give the perspective sometimes. Sometimes he does streams in Russian too, and we had some personal exchanges. I wanted him when I just started. I wanted to, and he was not as popular then. But I wanted him to come and speak in Russian. Would be very instrumental and helpful to people to explain
Hmm.
the British position on certain things, the British view, and he's deeply enough in British idiom, I would say. Uh, so no, he's now I look at it a little bit less because he tries to be more and more impartial, and it's not to my taste. I mean, not does it matter that it matter, but matters, but it's I don't think that impartiality is. I think it's not wrong. I'm not forbidding anyone to be impartial, but it's not conductive, not conducive to
Look, there's a
the
place.
situation.
There's a place for one side. There's a place for another side. And there's a place for all the
Yeah, it's
bits in
part of the
between as well.
process. You come in impartial, you look at this, you look at that, and then you choose sides, because it's not necessarily a side that wants to fight or the preferred means of figuring out the truth, but its position is very important. It's intentional impartiality is good for the beginning, but not as a result of conversation that I feel they do. So thank you so very much for finding time, and I hope for continuation, for the to be continued, as they say in the movie scripts.
Okay, it was lovely talking. It was lovely seeing you again, Yura.
Same here. Same here. Enjoyed our talk immensely.
Okay.
Thanks to everybody who was watching.